Hi, I'm Skyla Lee. Today I'm going to read part 2 of Project Earth 2.0. Please enjoy. Project Earth 2.0, Part 2. I landed mere inches away from the remnants of the starship's wing, electricity currents crackling along a plethora of fractured eyes. Oh no. Cairo was staring morosely at the wreckage, kneeled among heaps of debris, eyes hollow with desperation. It won't work anymore. I. Yes, I interrupted impatiently. But how long will it take for you to fix it? The humanoid shook her head and sighed, brushing dust off her knee pads as she stood. Well, the length of time spent repairing it relies entirely on this planet. If there are major differences between it and Earth, which there likely will be, then consider ourselves fortunate if we leave Cirinautlis B within a decade. Eleanor, having scouted ahead, turned sharply with widened eyes. But then we probably won't make it in time to explore Cirinautlis Sea and rescue humanity before the red giant face befalls them. I stepped carefully into the partially untouched control room, snatching a clipboard from a drawer hanging open near my upturned chair. I leapt back out via a gaping hole where the windshield had shattered. "We'll record our findings here!" I nodded to Cairo and Eleanor. "We're going to see what this planet has to show." We trudged through a compact patch of lush rainforest, scanning plants with our analyst watches. "How peculiar," I remarked as I peered at the results of a swipe. "They're completely unlike their counterparts back on Earth. They possess 1,000 shades of each color. Silver, gunmetal, onyx, and iridescent cobalts or violets seem to be the dominant allele here on Cirinautlis B." Eleanor murmured in essence. "Metallic, glossy, and crystalline. A jeweler could mistake one of these leaves for a gemstone, and I wouldn't blame them." Cairo sighed, admiring a trunk made entirely of Asia crystal. "Silicon-based life. It's the only explanation. Humans couldn't eat the plants nor the animals on this planet. They'd only survive by building conservatories, like the ISS in spacesuits, cultivating everything they required in specific environments." "You forgot CRISPR-Cas9," I said, whirling around. "Humanity could become silicon-based life itself. With the information we gather here and the level of science and knowledge, sapiens would easily grasp the concept of life here." We emerged into a clearing, dappled all its rays of sunlight, dancing about and shifting through 1,000 shades of gold. What I saw made my jaw drop. A trio of deer-like silicone-based animals were prancing about, built entirely of iridescent gems. We moved on after marking down the peculiar creatures on my clipboard as jewel fonts. Cairo took the lead only to halt a while later. "Look!" Even up here, I could feel the terrible heat. We were standing at the edge of a tall cliff whose height was more than 5 times that of Angel Falls or the Denmark Cataract Strait. Raging below, casting a luminous glow on the walls, was an ocean of sulfuric acid. It stretched to the horizon, staining the sky amber. Cirinautlis was a ruby fireball, 10 times the size of the circle flame the sun was for humans back on Earth. I knew at first glance that this portion of Cirinautlis B was an utterly, unimaginably, mind-blowingly immense death zone. Eleanor, peeking out from Cairo's shoulder, shuddered at the sight. "Let's turn back," I murmured in accents, and whirled around, striding back into the forest of gems. We found nothing but more jewel forms, who apparently communicated using the ethereal tinkling of the diamonds on their antlers and their otherworldly, beautiful songs. When we emerged into the minute impact crater our starship had made, Cairo immediately slumped down onto a rock, head bowed. "I doubt we'll make it back to Earth before the red giant face," she admitted, tilting her head upward and closing her eyes. "Time dilution!" Eleanor cocked her head at this. "What's dilute?" Oh, whatever. Starboard, having stayed behind, rode out into the open from beneath the broken ring, which it evidently had been attempting to fix. It tapped its claws together, producing a dismissive click, and hummed as it circled us. Glitchy software!" Cairo shrugged, pointedly ignoring the bots. "I'll just say that every hour here is 7 years on Earth, so this conversation might be equivalent to a week or so back on our home planet." I nodded, seating myself on a boulder. "So we need to get off this god-forsaken exoplanet ASAP. I'm not an amateur or professional engineer, so the burden of mending the broken ring will rest entirely on Cairo's shoulders. But I've got some pretty good ideas on powering the starship. The challenge is that Cirinautlis B is nowhere near the likes of what we've got at home. Geothermal energy will definitely be an option, judging from the fact that the planet has gathered enough heat to house silicon-based life, but others such as, say, hydropower will be obsolete in this world. H2O is the equivalent of a colossal apocalypse for jeweled organisms like the jewel forms we saw earlier. But harnessing geothermal energy will require the construction of a power plant, which, in our scenario where our starship was not built to let us build power plants, will have long since crossed the border, separating possibility and science fiction. However, there's another reliable and abundant energy source: silicon. Exploiting silicon compounds in chemical reactions would be capable of generating a paramount deal of energy, akin to hydrogen back on Earth. For reconstructing portions of the starship that were destroyed during the harsh landing, we might be able to use materials derived from silicon, take silicates, for instance. These would be helpful when generating energy becomes a rather difficult matter, which is highly likely to happen. The most dangerous and high-risk option of all is bioengineering. There's no doubt that silicon-based lifeforms possess biochemical properties unique to Cirinautlis B. We might be able to harness biological processes as a last resort energy source. Of course, resources are limited, which may lead to us racking our artificial brains all day, searching for an innovative solution. Eleanor nodded thoughtfully. "You know, that's code work. Similar to you, my field of expertise doesn't include engineering, but I reckon Cairo would approve of the silicates." Of course, the humanoid said, standing and clambering into the partially destroyed starship. Let's go get some silicon. This is the end of part 2. Can you guess how many years they will be marooned on Cirinautlis B? Stay tuned!